Hello, Epiphany. It's great to see you. It's a Monday. Spending more time in my office now. I'm glad to be here. You may know, some of you, that we had service right out there this past Sunday in the courtyard. It was nice to see everybody all masked up there celebrating morning prayer. We also, of course, had Eucharist online, so you can always join us there. Even if you can't get to church, I understand that. The most important thing right now, because we know this outbreak is sort of ramping up again. Stay home, stay safe, wear your mask, keep your hands clean, keep your distance, say your prayers, call a friend, do the things right to keep community healthy. Did I say your prayers? In truth, right? It's one of those things that helps keep us healthy and keeps our community healthy. And please pray for your parish. So last week we moved through chapter 11, one of my all-time favorite chapters in the book of John. And in fact, I'm going to turn my camera a little bit. You're going to see up there over my fireplace in that big, beautiful frame is a fine art copy of from the St. John's Bible that we have in our church that we read out of on Sundays. Fine art copy of the page of Lazarus coming out of the tomb in the Gospel of John. That's how much I love it. And a couple of years ago, the parish gave it to me as a gift, which was a wild surprise, and I'm grateful for it. And I consider it it's in a place of honor in my heart and up there on my wall. So, for all of you that were involved in that, probably some of you were. I want to thank you for that gift. So I love Lazarus, and the reason I do, and some of you maybe have seen I think it's about an hour-long teaching I do on Lazarus on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, I want to encourage you to look it up. It takes a little bit of a commitment. But I talk about why I believe that Lazarus is the author of the Gospel of John. And I talk about how I believe that matters. And this part we just talked about, Lazarus coming out of the tomb, is the key in understanding how Lazarus, the author of the Gospel of John, who called it John because it's about John guiding us into relationship with God, right? It starts off right there in chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning, and all things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being, and what came into being was life, and the life was the light to all people. There was a man named John, right? So we talk about John right there at the beginning. That's why the book is named John. But the point is, the person who came out of the tomb had the firsthand knowledge of Jesus being with God from the beginning. And this is why. Think about it. And I've talked about this, and maybe you've heard me talk about it before. But Lazarus is dead, right? And so he's in the tomb, and the tomb is, of course, dark, and he's got stuff wrapped all over his eyes. And when he dies, you've heard people talk about hundreds of thousands of people have had near-death experiences, and irrespective of what they believe or where they're from or what cultural background they have, their description is very similar, time in and time out. And it is they move into a space and they travel towards what? They travel towards the light. Right? So they travel towards the light, foggy light. And when they get there, and as they come closer, they hear somebody who loves them call them by name. So they're called by name. And then they're received into a community that loves them. And so imagine that. Lazarus died, dead, 4 days in the tomb, body stone cold. But on the other side, he's traveled towards the light. He's heard his name called. He's been welcomed by people who love him. He's been given eternal sight. And who does he see? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning, and all things came into being through him. He saw Jesus. So now, 4 days, he's with the cosmic Christ and all the heavenly hosts and all the people who have gone before. And suddenly gets called back. He gets called out of that. And when he gets called out of it, what do we see happening right here in the text? Take away the stone. So the minute the stone is rolled away, light floods in to the tomb. Lazarus sees it through the bandages on his eyes, right? And he goes towards the light. And as he goes towards the light, someone calls his name, Jesus. Lazarus, come out. So he goes to the light. His name is called by someone who loves him. He comes out. He's met by people who love him. He takes off the bandages, or they take off the bandages. And who do they see? He sees Jesus. Jesus on one side, Jesus on the other side. And now he knows 100% certain that Jesus is the second person of the Trinity, that Jesus is God at the right hand of the Father. He knows that in a way that nobody else does. So the witness of John is a true witness of somebody who speaks the way he speaks to articulate to us that Jesus is God. Awesome stuff. So that's why it's so important to me that all the other Gospels are great and they talk about the experience of Jesus here. John talks about the experience of Jesus all over. So what I invite you to do, I guess, between today and tomorrow, maybe go on and watch my YouTube, go to the Epiphany Seattle and watch my YouTube on Lazarus. I think they call it Lazarus. I don't know what we call it. I think so. But also meditate upon Jesus, cosmic Christ, known firsthand by Lazarus. I'm glad to talk to you. Thanks for this time together. Keep praying for the world. Pray for your church. I pray for you. I love you. Peace upon your souls.